Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday edition of the Hog Talk podcast, coming to you live from the Sterling Soap and Roastery Studios, part of the Believe and Buzz Radio Network, where you can hear us each week on 106.7 Buzz 2 in Central Arkansas. All live shows are presented to you by Arkansas Brewing Company in downtown Ozark. I am Porter Hayes, and alongside me, as always, is Adam Hall. And on tonight's show, jam-packed, we will talk football fall camp. Could there potentially be a college football red zone? More, and at 6:35, Jake Crain from Crain and Company will be joining us to talk some Razorback football. But Adam, there's a lot of buzz coming out of fall camp already. Happens every year with the players. Receiving core has been getting a lot of the attention. I know you think Jordan Anthony was having his expectations. Now a new name has come up, Raylan Sharp. So have you been able to look at some of the clips, see a little bit of I don't know if you want to call it hype videos or what you've been able to see from camp? Seems like there's a lot of buzz already about this football team.
I personally haven't watched a whole lot. It's one of those that the stuff that is just put out in clip form, hype form, I've tried to stay away from the last year or so, which, heck, I know we put out our own little hype video the other day because, boredom strikes and get some views in it, whatever. It's one of those that I'm just sticking to kind of the names that we've talked about before coming into this off season, the high hopes for Antonio Jordan. I have nothing against Raylan Sharp and his confidence. If you're in a position group, of course you want to think and you want to believe and you want to put out there that you think that you're the best in the country. Mm-hmm. Why would you come out here? I mean, just like we've talked about before with coaches and coach speak, it's the same thing with players. They're hyping themselves up. They believe that they're one of the best or the best. I'm all for it. I just want you to prove it when you get out on the field. I do think that, some of the media, some of the fans, they take a quote like that, they make graphics out of it, and it starts being like, Arkansas's got the best wide receiver room in the country. And I'm just in this boat of, we're going to start doing these things, we're going to start putting out this stuff, we're going to start talking about this stuff, and then if it doesn't pan out, it just kind of makes you look like the fool. And so I just, I'm all about these guys, the players, believing, hopefully, that they are better than the rest. But at the end of the day, you've got to go out on the field to prove it.
Yeah. I mean, when you are you're just getting in the pads, you're just getting out there, you're just running through the motions. Yes, you're working on your plays and cadences and tempo and everything. This would be something I want to see coming out of, a game, not the Alabama A&M game or even the Arkansas State game. This is something like, say, they start 4-0. They upset Ole Miss, have a good game against Memphis, and now you're talking about going into the Notre Dame game undefeated. Receiving core has been doing really good. Braylon Russell's been killing it. Taylor Green's, he is being efficient, and his completion percentage has come up. Then I'll take it for what it's worth. I'll hold more weight, but just the first week of fall camp, you're going to hear all this stuff. And it started with on the radio, 9 wins. And then you have people coming out and saying that, well, if they win 8 games, we'll do this. If they win 8 regular season games. So the hype train started. And it's all good and well for the fans to want to believe that they are going to do well this year. It's good to have hope. I said it on the episode when we had Chris Phillips on. The last time we had this much hope, Bill Clinton was in office. It's you hear the hope. We wish that we hope Arkansas does better. But until we see it in the game, in a meaningful game, our views aren't going to change on what we see, especially when there's so many unknowns about the defense, how much pressure they putting on this. I mean, is it just throw and catch? Of course, everybody's going to look good when there's nobody really defending you. So, it happens every year. And, you have to take that momentum as players and teams and coaches and take it out on the field and keep building momentum, blowing Arkansas State and Alabama out of the water. And even if you don't beat Ole Miss, if you go in there and prove that, man, we played them tough, it came to a last second field goal or a mistake at the end, then you go into Memphis, take care of business. Starting off 3-1 heading into the Notre Dame game is doable. I see that as you win those 3, you lose to Ole Miss. That's where you should be heading into the Notre Dame game.
I think they're definitely going to have to take whatever momentum they can game to game. They're going to have to not put themselves in holes. They're going to have to not take their foot off the gas when and if they do have leads. And, like we've talked about, you've got to let Coach Petrino have complete, full control, full reign.
Yep.
If he doesn't want to take his foot off the gas, don't take it off the gas. It's one of those, like we, was brought up before. We want to see, into the first half, just like, Ryan Mallett to Kobe Hamilton against LSU. They thought we were going to take a knee. No, touchdown. I mean, you got to do those things because you don't know what's going to happen in the second half. You don't know what's going to happen. I mean, anything could happen, whether it's a pick six or whatever. Like, you're going to screw up at some point in the game, so you're going to need whatever padding you can get. And these days of taking your foot off the gas and coasting when you have a lead, those days are done. Like, the whole sportsmanship side of winning football games, run up the score if you can. I don't see what's wrong with that anymore. It's the defense's job to stop you. So run it up if you have the opportunity to. Because guess what? Other teams are doing it to us.
Mm-hmm.
We saw Ole Miss do it to us. So it's one of those things that you need to do it right back when you have the chance to.
Well, and speaking of that S word, you're going to have these 2 games where you're going to need to learn to play a full 4-quarter game. Run it up. The comment right here, run it up, because what that's going to do is you're going to play like you're ready to play a 4-quarter game mentally, because you look at the piece of paper with the teams on it. Say Notre Dame, Tennessee, A&M, Auburn, Mississippi State, LSU, Texas, Missouri. You're going to need to be playing full 4 quarters, because one of those games you're going to need a last 2-minute drill or a game-saving stop. You're going to need that to win. That's what we talk about, these what ifs. And if Arkansas would have done this last year, their record would be different. Well, they didn't. That's why their record is where they are. They should be putting teams out and then taking that and just keeping the hammer down, because whether you like it or not, you get to Ole Miss, you're going to need to be ready 4 quarters, and you're going to need to be conditioned. It's going to be hot. So if you go out in halftime and then you just start running through the motions, when it's time to step up and really step up in a 4-quarter game, you're not going to be conditioned for it.
No. And like we've, talked about last show with the whole 2-minute offense and things like that, whether it's, into the half, we sit there and we run the ball, or we take knees, or we this, we that. And then when you actually do get into situations where you've got 2 minutes or less, you've got 50 seconds or less in the 4th quarter, you're not prepared for it because you haven't done it at game speed before. You've done it at practice. You've done it against yourselves, but you've not done it in a game before. And I think that's detrimental to your team when your back is against the wall and you do only have 50 seconds left and you've got to drive the field for whether it's a field goal or touchdown or whatever. The playing nice stuff is over with. I think it needs to be over with. Being everybody's buddy, being thought of as the buddy. I feel like me and some friends were talking about this the other day, and we're talking about rivalries and stuff like we always talk about on this show, on other shows, between fans, comment sections, and it's one of those that we're not thought of. Arkansas football is not thought of, and no, we're not bottom feeders, but at the same time, it's one of those that there's not really another team out there that takes us seriously, and I think that they should take the team, the coaches, they should take that to heart.
Yeah.
Why does it not bother you that Texas or LSU or whoever doesn't look at you the way that you look at them? That should bug you. You know,
Mhm.
we've talked about Eli Drinkwitz and his pettiness towards Arkansas, which he's always going to have that, rightfully so on his part. But at the same time, it's kind of you've got to figure out something because you're not you're in this middle area. We're not the bottom feeders. We're not in the basement completely like we were with under Chad Morris. We're not the laughing stock like we were under Chad Morris. But you're not thought of as relevant, so you're just kind of forgotten about. And it's kind of a really like damning feeling, like as a fan, when you kind of realize this.
Yeah, and we'll break down game by game probably starting next week. But outside of the Alabama A&M game, you got a team ready to play you in Little Rock that, whether the score is 42-10 or not, they're going to be giving you all they want to give you for 4 quarters. They are going to be out to prove and try as hard as they can to upset you. This is their one chance. This is their one shot to say, we can hang with Arkansas. We've been wanting this game for years. So this is an important game on the grand scheme of, you need to knock this game out early. You cannot let a team like Arkansas State hang in there. Moving to September 20th, a team like Memphis coming off an 11-win season where they beat Florida State. Their only big loss was Navy, and then they got beat by UTSA. But they beat Florida State, they beat Troy, and then their conference. But you don't think they're really, really coming into this game, because we're talking about that's not being thought of. This Arkansas game, Memphis game, could be one of the most underrated games on the year because where it's sandwiched in at. But this is a Memphis team that's up and coming that could give you a run for a money and could very well give you a loss. They've proved it. And if you don't think they're going to use this, I don't care where Arkansas is, they're an SEC team. If you don't think they are going to come in and want to take care of business, that's going to be a tough game. So you're going to have to be ready. You're going to have to take care of business these first 2 games because, one, you're playing in Memphis. This is a game that, if you were a better team and a better program, you should never have went to Memphis the first game you played them. This should have been a Fayetteville game. But it shows you that you're going to Memphis to play. That tells you a little bit where your program is, and they could very well upset the team. It's not out of realm to say Memphis might be favored, depending on how these first 2 games go. They might be favored to win this game.
This was one when the schedule came out that I think a lot of people quickly put it in the win column, and it's, you know, the Lee Corso not so fast comes to mind, because you don't know how this game's going to turn out. I mean, Memphis isn't going to just, you know, lay down and let Arkansas do whatever they want. That's not how Memphis has typically done things. So this is a game that I feel like could be more of a trap game, because I don't think that Arkansas State's going to be too big of a concern, and that's no knock to them. I just think the size different. There's multiple things there, but the Memphis game is the game that I would be most worried about in your non-conference. Just because, I mean, I don't have the high hopes. I really have any hopes that Notre Dame will be in our favor. So I think this Memphis game could really, truly be the non-conference trap game.
Because they have, starting out, they have Chattanooga, Georgia State, Troy, and then Arkansas. So, you know, they play in Atlanta, at Troy, and then they're not their first, but they open up against Chattanooga, Georgia. They go to at Georgia, Alabama to play Troy, and then Memphis. They're playing at Simmons Bank Liberty, so they're playing in the Liberty Bowl against Arkansas. And I'm telling you, they start off hot, 3-0, ready to go against Arkansas. And if Arkansas comes in limping, I mean, it's going to be one of the things you got to watch out for. Yes, I mean when we're talking about the Arkansas State game, yeah, I think it's going to be one of those gnats. You know, they're going to give you everything they have. You have to put the game away, and it could very well be a blowout, which I see it. But I'm talking about the physicality, them wanting to knock you around, them doing everything they can to stay in this game. It's going to take a toll on this team, and that's why it's very, very imperative they take care of this thing first half. Score 3 and out, score 3 and out, score 3 and out. Go up 21-0 before they can even know what's going on. And then you get in your game plan and you start really running up the score.
And I think in these games too, we didn't see it as much last year. Especially, Alabama, A&M, Arkansas State potentially. You've got to get your backups in. And I understand wanting to get Talon and the other starters like game reps and stuff, but we saw it happen last year. Guys going down, guys playing injured. When you needed a backup player, you're bringing in guys that basically had no game time. They had no reps. And I think this is something in these games like that, like Arkansas State, Alabama, A&M, when you get the opportunity, you've got to put these. I mean, what was it against Pine Bluff? Didn't we see Talon in the fourth quarter still? And I'm just kind of like, I don't think you need to do that. And I get it. Last year was a different story. Game 1 at Arkansas for him. But now I'm looking at it like you've second half, especially Alabama A&M. If you're up 40-0 or whatever, take him out. Like I get maybe playing him 1, maybe 2 series into the third quarter just to see the other team's adjustment, just to see your team's adjustment. But then after that, call it quits. Pull them out, because this is not the time for having people in there too long, risking injury.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. You bring them in halftime, go maybe 5-10 minutes left this is ideal where you want to be. 10 minutes left, 8 minutes left in the third quarter. Get him used to the adjustments. He's still on, again, for the sake of what you have looking ahead. You need to be able to have him. You have new receivers. You have a new running back. You have a lot of people not returning. A lot of new people you've got to rely on. And, I had said something before we had rolling, and my biggest fear, and could be something that I was thinking about before we started recording, this season could end up being like Eric Musselman's last year at Arkansas. You lost a core of your talent. It is a very pivotal point in your program, because I'm going off of this when Eric Musselman lost his job and they decided to part ways. Nobody knew Cal was going to become the head coach. Nobody knew. The memes were out with Will Smith on the carpet with nobody around him. They didn't know Cal was coming in. You lost your team after all that. And then beforehand, you lost Black, Walsh, and Nick Smith Jr. You come into this year where you have Taylor Greenback. Yes, you have Braylon Russell, but what else around you do you have? And in one of the most important years, now it probably is because he's on the hot seat, I don't see enough talent that will produce the wins to keep his job.
The comparison of losing your talent, yes, I agree with that. The differences, I think, would be, we all know and we all could see that Eric Musselman was checked out, and I don't feel like Sam Pittman's checked out. So it's one of those, there's so much unknown, which we've mentioned. You're going to have to rely on a lot of these guys that we don't know about. And obviously the coaches see these guys day in and day out. They recruited them for reasons. So you hope these guys can come in and produce. Like we've talked about, we'll be glad to eat crow. Just at what I'm looking at on paper, I do not see it. I still think that we're undersized. I still think that there's depth issues. So, it's one of those, we'll just go back to Raylan Sharp's comment. If they think that they're the best wide receiver group in the country, great. On paper, though, y'all are undersized minus, a few guys like Antonio Jordan at 6'4". maybe Petrino's offense will come to light this season. Everybody's talking about Coach Petrino and Taylor Green year two of Petrino and the quarterback in his system, year two Petrino's offense. But like you and I have talked about too, but you've got year one receivers.
Exactly.
Almost every single one of them. So it's still an unknown. And yeah, you're returning a couple of running backs, but what it seems like, with Mike Washington, you've got a new workhorse. You've got a kind of some uncertainty with your offensive line. So there's a lot of question marks. A new look tight end group. Hopefully these guys show up a little bit more than last season. And yes, I know we got to a bowl game, but like we talked about, that can't be the measuring stick anymore. I think Rod said it best Monday night that every 3 years you should be in the conversation of the college football playoff. It's not saying
you're playing Missouri hoping you get a bowl eligible.
And it's one of those, you don't have to make the college football playoff every 3 years. It's be in the conversation once every 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And he's 100% right. This being excited about making a bowl game, no, those days are done. We're over it. We should be over it. So it's one of those that I think like we talked about last year. How do you bounce back from getting punched in the mouth as a player and a coach? How does the team overall? As like we saw with Eric Musselman's team, and we've seen it before with Sam Pittman's team. Do you just give up when your team starts giving up on you? That's the telltale sign of where everything is and what needs to be done. And of course, like we've all talked about too, if something were to happen crazy in Little Rock and Arkansas State wins that game, I think somebody doesn't have a job before they hit the bus.
No, no. He won't be walking to Fayetteville. He'll be walking to Lake Hamilton. Again, because I've said it. If Arkansas loses to Arkansas State, it will be the most embarrassing loss in Razorback history in any sports. It would totally trump the Citadel game. It will trump the North Texas game. It will trump what I said was the Western Kentucky game where Ty Story come back and got you. And if I'm saying big if, this is even for how skeptical we are about this team this year. If they lose to Arkansas State, it will go down as one of the worst losses in Razorback sports history. So, but what we're going to do, we're going to take go ahead. You can finish up.
Oh, I don't have anything.
I thought you were so what we're going to do, we're going to take a quick 30-second break, hear a word from our sponsor, and then we will be joined by Jake Crain from Crain and Company to give his thoughts on Sam Pittman and the Razorbacks and how important this year is for the Razorbacks. We'll catch you right after the break. Looking to enhance your home's curb appeal? Look no further than Vision Exteriors. As your trusted roofing, siding, and exterior experts, we're here to transform your property. Our skilled team ensures your job is not only functional, but also aesthetically pleasing. Along with roofing, we also offer window, gutter, and siding installation to boost your home's appearance with our quality options. Visit us at www.visionexteriors.com or call us at 479-397-4770. Let's make your vision a reality. And we're joined now via the Meadows Lover Hotline by Jake Crain. Man, always glad to have you on, brother. I really appreciate you coming on and talking some Razorback football with us. So how's things been going?
Man, well, first off, guys, thanks for having me. Been going great. I mean, we're, right around the corner. Kickoff is basically here. We're under 3 weeks. We're doing a lot of our single team predictions right now on Crain and Company, the show that we do. We've already got a bunch of big game previews out, season previews out. So just monitoring what's going on in fall camp, looking for the injuries that could affect some of these teams that we think have a shot. But, now, anytime we get to this point of the year, man, got some preseason games tonight as well. So just excited for it. This is what we wait a long time for. So I'm ready to get it going.
And before we get started, we'll give a quick shout out to FanDuel. Stacking the game of parlays on college or sweating last-minute field goal in NFL. FanDuel puts the power in your hands with live odds, quick bets, and easy cash outs. New customers even score on bonus bets just for signing up. So if you call the Hogs or ride it out with your favorite NFL squad, make every down count, bet college, bet pro, Bet FanDuel. And Jake, we'll just start off with this. On a scale of 1 to 10, how important do you think this year is for Sam Pittman and his job with the Arkansas Razorbacks?
Well, to be honest with you, it's easy to say 10 because you feel like he has to have it. But I'm wondering, guys, even if it goes just good, I'm not saying really good. If it goes really good, obviously Sam Pittman's going to stick around. But if it just goes good, is Sam Pittman even here next year at Arkansas?
Yeah.
If it's 7-5, is he still here at Arkansas? Because if it goes bad, obviously he's not going to be there the next year. But as I've said when I've alluded to Arkansas so far, it just feels like right now, as great of a time of year it is, as much propaganda as we hear out of fall camp, everybody's team is great, everybody has a Heisman winner. It just feels like Arkansas's just kind of stagnant from an excitement standpoint for the future. Because you don't think Sam Pittman's going to be there for another 10 years, right? So I feel like where Arkansas is right now, they're like waiting on that next shoe to drop. Who's going to be that next guy? Is it Rhett Lashley? Is it John Summerall? Is it somebody we're not even thinking about? So I don't know, man. It's an interesting question because even if it goes good or above average, I don't know if Sam Pittman's there in 2026.
Everybody's been bringing up Bobby Petrino, Taylon Green, year 2. Where do you see Taylon at in the quarterbacks of the SEC?
Well, I actually thought when he came over initially from Boise State to Arkansas that it was such a big push to get him to be a more effective passer, a more natural passer of the ball, and to give him the opportunity to beat teams from the pocket. I actually thought last year he looked better than what I thought he was going to look. I thought what Petrino did for him, just off his normal platform. We know he can improvise. He can run left. He can run right, get a lot of mustard on the ball. But from the pocket, I thought a lot of things were cleaned up. He didn't miss high as much. When you go back and look at his Boise State film, that was the biggest jump, which is a lot of work. But to be honest with you guys, as good as I think Bobby is and as talented as Taylon is, it's what's around Taylon that I'm worried about. Like you can't go do this by the only person and I don't want to say Tebow because the Florida teams were so good. Cam Newton's the closest thing I've ever seen to one guy taking an average team around him and just being that dominant. I don't know if Taylon can hold up for that long running the ball and having to do some of the things he's going to have to do if Arkansas is not able to elevate around him. So, it's a money-making year for him. He's going to put it all on the line. That's the type of dude that he is. But in the ultimate team sport of football, is the supporting cast around Taylon Green good enough for his development to really be able to show?
Yeah. And last year you look at Tesla and then you had Armstrong. You had some NFL type guys on that squad. And I mean, we're not soothsayers. So, I mean, we could turn around and Blake or Sharp or anybody can end up being NFL players. But we don't see that yet. And we've seen when you have an Arkansas success, it took like a guy like Traylon Burks to really get Arkansas. I mean, you talk about a guy who put the team on his back to really get them bowl eligible and get a bowl win. It takes NFL type guys to do that in the SEC. And that's, your quarterback's not an SEC type guy, or your quarterback's not an NFL guy. Your running back's not. I don't see any NFL talent on this team to go out and win 7 to 8 games that I feel like they need to win 7 to 8 for Sam Pittman to keep his job.
No, I agree. And look, I think Taylon has the potential to be something. Now, is he going to be a guy that's going to be an all-pro starting quarterback in the NFL? Probably not, but I think he has the ability to do something and affect the game in a really positive way because all he has to do is just throw good enough with his ability. If he just throws good enough, you can do a lot of things with him. But again, guys, I'll go back and always ask the question because hope isn't a plan. It's a player-led sport. I've seen a lot of bad coaches with really good players win a lot of games. I've seen a lot of really smart coaches with average or bad players lose a lot of games. So at the end of the day, if Taylon Green plays really, really well, who around him or what depth around him do you feel like is good enough to be able to take that next step and get to the 8, 9-win mark and really get this program going. I'm just not seeing it, and I'm not seeing the depth. And I don't want to come on here and just be negative. I mean, who knows? That's the beautiful part about this sport. Maybe Arkansas has some guys that are just gamers that can find ways to get things done. But I feel like you're really limiting your options when I look around this roster. And tell me one position group where Arkansas is top 3 in the SEC. Just give me one.
Yeah, slightly different. It's come out with all the ESPN news and such lately, ESPN, NFL, red zone, things like that. Do you think that we will see the college red zone like that was, Roger Goodell was talking about?
Well, no, because there's so many games. I don't know how they'd be able to keep up with it, even with an octo box, if you're going to do all of the big games once we get rocking and rolling. But the media rights issue to me, I'm not sure exactly how that works out. Now, if they had one, it'd be great, but I couldn't watch it because I've got to watch the whole game. I can't just tell you what they did in the
Yeah.
red zone the whole game
Yeah.
and be able to be like, all right, hey, we're going to break this game down. But at the end of the day, I feel like he more alluded to they have the capability to do it, not that they're going to do it. But when I look at what would go into that, it'd be awesome, but I don't see it happening.
Yeah, it baffles me that they still haven't even fired up the SEC alternate channel, much less worrying about a college red zone channel.
Yeah, come on. Can we just watch every game? Like, can we
Yeah.
just watch? I don't want to have to go to the SEC network plus Deportes to watch
Yeah.
a game.
And also and this ties back into Arkansas, we had Chris Phillips from SEC Unfiltered on last week, and we're asking him about, the ramifications of, rev share and other teams and rev share plus what they're doing. It seems like Arkansas has put all their eggs in a basket of this rev share is going to save the football program or get them on level par with other teams. What do you think about SEC school coming out and saying rev share alone is going to put us on par with other schools in the SEC?
Well, I mean, great if it works. I mean, look, I don't think Arkansas has money. What I'm going to find fascinating is how now that Calipari's there, and I know how big basketball and baseball are in the state of Arkansas. When initially when they came out and said there's going to be this hard cap of $20.5 million. Arkansas is one of the first kind of programs I thought of because in all three sports there's very high expectations and they're willing to spend money on baseball and obviously in basketball. So it's not like, well, this is just a football school. We're going to pour all the money into that. Or I think it really puts Arkansas into an interesting situation. But look, I know y'all got money. I know Arkansas's got money. I love when some of these schools act like they don't have money. Like Auburn will do this. They'll be like, oh, well, we just don't have as much money. And they're like, wait a minute. No. Y'all do have money. So I think Arkansas is going to be fine. It's just, again, like anything, how you delegate it, how you dish it out. But now that there's not a hard cap officially, I mean, who cares? Let's sell. The Tyson chicken numbers are going to be crazy here in the next couple months. You want to help out Arkansas? Come on, let's go get some of that chicken. Just throw it in the oven. It'll work.
Do you feel like there's any clear front runner team wise in the SEC this season?
No, and that's what's beautiful about it. But I think that's the way all of college football is this year. That's why it's one of the most intriguing years. I mean, if I had to come up with like an overarching narrative, it's big brands with really good rosters around a new quarterback. I mean, you look around the country, that's the thing you're going to run into. So I find it fascinating, and it's really going to be a race, whether you're talking about Texas or Ohio State or Georgia or Bama, or even a team like Oklahoma bringing Mateer over to which quarterback, because a lot of these guys don't have to be Batman. They just have to be a really good Robin. But which quarterback is going to be above or past where he should be as a young guy? Is it Bryce Underwood at Michigan that's able to come in and make a difference and use that great roster around him to put together a monster of a team that plays complementary football? The quarterback coach has never been more important than it's been this year. So I'm very interested to see it.
The last question I'll ask you is, how much of a frenzy do you think the SEC will be in if a non-SEC team wins the national championship again?
I mean, look, it's gonna hurt because we pride ourselves on this. But again, if I think it's a little bit different if the team is a Big Ten team or the team is an ACC team, which it could be with Clemson. I don't think there's a team in the Big 12 that can win it. If it's the Big Ten again, it hurts a little bit more just because that would be 3 in a row for the Big Ten. And how do you define greatness of a conference? Is it the best team, like having to win the national championship? Is it the depth of the conference with the amount of teams that are quote unquote elite or really good? I've always said if you want to judge a conference, there's a couple pillars to me. It's the national champion, it is how many players get drafted out of that conference, and then how many teams in that conference play in a big time bowl game or had a chance to make the postseason. So it's all how you grade it. But if it's the Big Ten, they're going to keep chirping and they should. But just go with that narrative. Don't go with the
Yeah.
schedule narrative. That narrative was when y'all were getting destroyed by the SEC.
Yeah. I just had to throw it because you know how the fans are, the SEC fans. And if, Big Ten and SEC fandom have this war going on, and I know that if a Big Ten team wins, it would break the internet.
Well, to me, we talk about this on the show all the time. Like, I get conference affiliation, especially regionally, because it's not an SEC versus Big Ten thing. It's a Southerner versus a Yankee thing. Like, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And I get that. But when it comes to conference allegiance, I don't know. Maybe it's, if I'm watching a team play in the SEC in a bowl game, I'm not like, hey man, y'all go win it. Like, look, let's go Missouri. Y'all can do this. Like, I don't care. If my team doesn't do it, I don't care. It doesn't make me feel any better being the fourth skinniest kid at fat camp.
That's true. But we'll get you out on this. I don't know if you've come out with your season breakdown of Arkansas, or don't want to ruin your prediction or anything like that.
I don't know if y'all want me to come out with that. That'd be a lot.
Well, I mean, just kind of give a rundown and let us know, when we can look forward to your breakdown. I don't want to take away from what you're doing on your content, but talk about, just expectations and give a vague answer of where you think Arkansas lands this year.
Well, we're going to be doing the rest of the SEC here in a couple weeks and pick our SEC champion and national champion and all that. Well, what I would say is the expectation at Arkansas on the standard should not drop. The standard should be really high. The minute you drop the standard, you're cooked. You're cooked in general. So Arkansas fans should not settle for average or below average. Really, you shouldn't settle just for above average. The standard has to stay high. You've got to hold people accountable, and eventually you're going to find that guy. Even if he made a mistake on a motorcycle one time, you're going to find that guy, and he's got a chance to make the standard actually relevant and happen. So the standard shouldn't drop, but I'm not expecting amazing things in Fayetteville this year. So.
Well, Jake, again, man, we really appreciate you coming on. Always a good time having you on. And everybody, for who don't know, follow Crain and Company and the guys this year. Football season's about to ramp up. So you have a good one, man. Thank you so much for coming on.
Hey, anytime you guys need me, just hit me up. Appreciate y'all. And look, who knows? Arkansas could turn it around. Who knows? We'll see. Appreciate it.
We'll see what happens. Appreciate it.
That was Jake Crain of Crain and Company again. Be looking forward to his breakdown of Arkansas and the SEC coming up. He'll have it out and we'll share it. Had some technical difficulties there at the end, but Adam, I really like. Again, it goes on to what Chris Phillips said. This, I think the national media is starting to kind of, all right, this is a make it break it year. It's weird that Jake's been on before and he's been high on Sam Pittman. Chris Phillips been on before. He has been high on Sam Pittman, and both of them this year have similar takes on Arkansas. It's very interesting to hear what we could hear.
And I think some of it too, yeah, I think there's total validity and truth behind those, what they think and what they're saying about Sam Pittman and the hot seat, whether he's on one or not. And two, I think it's something that you can't get away from at this point. I mean, 6 years in, And we all know too that when you ruffle the feathers of Arkansas fans, you're going to get interactions based off of it. So, this is a point in time with that you've got the fans that are overly optimistic, rightfully so on their part, and you have the fans that are not, rightfully so on their part. So I think that there's a big divide amongst fans. I will say it's, I think, a bit more calm than we've seen it in years past on whether there is a hot seat or not. I don't feel like I'm seeing the fans calling each other out on the true fan nonsense like we've seen in the past, but I've also stayed away from a lot of comment sections these days. So that may have something to do with it. But no, it's one of those that you talk about the SEC and you talk about, every year it's who's on the hot seat.
Mm-hmm.
And so at this point, it's one of those that there's no dancing around it anymore. Like we talked about with Florida, because we all thought that Billy Napier was the major one on last year's hot seat with Florida. And, this year it's kind of the same thing, but a lot of that's going to rely on DJ Lagway's health and how they perform. So you've got a few coaches here that the hot seat is a lot warmer than it was last year.
Yeah. It's Sam Pittman's job to lose. He has good favor in Hunter Yurachek's eyes. And we've said if he becomes bowl eligible or wins 7 games, and I will say 6-game regular season wins, and he wins the bowl game, he's gonna stay here. He'll keep his job, whether he should or not. It depends on the games. I'm not going to automatically say if he wins 7 games, then he shouldn't come back. Depending on what upsets he pulls. But that's saying you got to win 4 SEC games. What 4 SEC games are you going to win? This isn't one of those where we're guaranteed or favored in all of our non-conference games this year. You're heavily underdogged in one of them, and I think it's a toss-up right now between the Memphis-Arkansas game. It's a 50-50 toss-up right now. Where they were to play right now, I think it'd be a toss-up. Mm-hmm. Maybe give a 3-point edge to Memphis because it's in Memphis. So I really think and I discussed this last week, from Hunter Yurachek's point of view, he is going to have to be forced at hand to let him go before him to lose his job.
I agree with that. So it's, what do we got? What is it? The 7th. So we got 23 days. It's one of those that you just hope that the distractions are minimal for the team, that they can go in and prepare. We've already seen, a season-ending injury before fall camp started. Go in there, work, come out unscathed, and get ready to go. The easiest way to shut all the naysayers up is just to win. So that's all we can hope for.
That's it. And one more shout out, FanDuel. Guys, if you're like us, Saturdays are for the Hogs and Sundays are for NFL. And with FanDuel, you can bet like a pro. Whether it's stacking a game parlay or college last-minute field goal, FanDuel puts the power in your hands with live odds, quick bets, and easy cash outs. New customers even score bonus bets just for signing up. So you call the Hogs or ride or die with your favorite NFL team. Make every down count. Bet college, bet pro, bet FanDuel. Adam, you got anything else?
No, I'm going to get off here and watch the Ravens preseason game.
All right. Well, that will do it. Now we got a good lineup. Monday, we'll have Kyle Sutherland on from Hog Beat. Tuesday, we have a special episode with Drake Toll, Hype Man, Party Animals. Party Animals will be in town next weekend. Not this weekend, but next weekend. So be tuned. Guys, HQ will be back Sunday, 8:05. But guys, for Adam Hall, I am Porter Hayes, and that will do it for another episode of the Hog Talk podcast. We'll catch you on Monday.